Hi, and welcome back to Rise Up and Walk. We all talk. I'm your host, Teresa.
And I'm your host, David. And we are back with the third and final segment. And we are getting in with the men, excuse me, and the women in this segment. And we're going to have a very big argument. We're just kidding. We're not going to argue. We're going to kick off with just a conversation with my brother Ronnie here. Pardon me, with a topic that he brought up in the men's segment. He mentioned that men, we weren't taught how to date in church. We are taught properly. So, guys, we single. Women, we single. We need your advice. What do we got to know? You know what I mean? How are we supposed to be taught when it comes to the dating world, when it comes to marriage? We know that the church does a really good job of talking about marriage, but they don't tell us what marriage really is, right? They talk about marriage. We hear marriage a lot. We know that we got to sign papers before a pastor and submit it, say vows and whatnot. But we do know, according to the scripture, that's not all the marriage entails, right? So, let's talk. Talk to us. What's lacking? And then, we can branch off from there. Because as I said, the topic in the beginning was, is there a deficit in the church? This is just one of the branch off of the deficit, which was a lack of teaching with many things. Dating being one of them. As a guy myself who was young and a bit nerdy looking, my head was a bit round, right?
Don't say that about
Don't say that.
No.
Don't say that.
Trust me, this would be a perfect time to put up a picture in the podcast with my baby picture. You can see what I'm talking about. You understand what I'm saying? But as a guy that was small, raised in the church and whatnot, I used to call the church boy and thing. There's just something weird in this generation now that when you are seen as a good guy, you're seen as weak. Right, that's how the women see it these days. But if I'm sagging my pants and I'm walking with the fake I'm tough, but when I'm in front of my mom I'm bawling type thing. That's what the girls like. That's what I've experienced, especially growing up in high school. You know what I mean? And then just relationships on a whole. I've grown up in church and whatnot. No one really sat us down and say, listen, this is how this is how you do this is how you do that. Because men have roles, women have roles according to scripture. Sorry for y'all out there who don't believe in the men and women roles. That's just Bible. If you want to check it out, check the Bible. I encourage you to read it. All right, let's start. Maybe a woman should start first.
Ladies first.
Ladies before gentlemen. Yes, do that. Oh, wow.
Yo, there's a lot going on right now.
All right. Okay, ladies. The question is about men not being taught how to date in the church. What is your opinion on that? What do you think? What's your perspective on dating in the church?
Okay, first of all, coming from a single woman such as myself, so one of the situations that I've found in the church is that it does a great job of hyping up marriage, but it doesn't do a good job in harboring being single. Right? Because the Bible does, Paul himself said, there's no shame in being single. If you can be single, right? And so a lot of the times there's so much emphasis, you should get married, there's so much pressure, and you can't do anything about your desires, so you have to get married. And then, if you happen to be friends with the opposite side, there's an assumption, oh my goodness, you guys are talking, okay, let's get married. And realistically, this actually presents a very unnatural, I want to say unnatural, but it's unnatural, very presumptuous view of marriage. And then, of course, it just honored the capacity of being single, because I find that with a lot of single people as myself, I'm so glad, God, I'm just saying in this season, I'm glad that I'm single. Why? Because it enables me to be able to do the things that I want to for the kingdom. You know what I mean? So I can focus on the things of the kingdom and put all the relationships behind me until I'm ready for it, right? Now, the one thing I've noticed that with men not being prepared for marriage is that there is this worldly view that permits the church that men should be conquerors. Now, yes, men are encouraged to be conquerors, yes, but it's like there's this pervasive sense that men should be conquerors of women, and as many women as possible, without the responsibility of getting married. I hear this a lot. oh, you dated sister so-and-so, how about that? Oh, you dated, and there's no responsibility. And then a lot of the times I find that, again, this is just my perspective, this is the gospel coming from somewhere, but men also are not encouraged to have conversation about sensitive topics like love. What does it mean to love a woman? What does it mean to cherish a woman? What does it mean to love women as Christ loved the church? And the problem is that men are not being taught that. They're taught to conquer, but they're not taught to love. They're taught to make it a cross, but they're not taught to be sensitive, to be vulnerable, to be willing to expose themselves. And so a lot of the time that's where the gap is. Women, we're taught to be transparent, we're taught to love, we're taught to have conversations, we're taught to heal, all of that. But men, they're not taught that. They're taught a very toxic way of, dealing with relationships. But then again, that's just me. I could be wrong.
No, I think that's fair, what you're
legit.
saying, because men in nature, we have the Adamic nature, and it doesn't matter whether you're on the street or in church. That's our nature. That's the Adamic nature. But we have, like, coming to church is to try to find Christ, so we have to know how to put on the mind of Christ so we could deal with you like the church. If not, the nature's going to come out, hey, you're trying to tell your boyfriend, your husband something, and you're just like, man, you're talking too much. Like, like we read things differently naturally, So we have to know how to find that connection and that gap and keep that connection strong in a relationship so that we're not unequally yoked. You know what I mean? So we can help each other.
Yeah. And let me just hop off of that. Like, even when you're in the street, right? You have somebody that, in a sense, is quote unquote like discipling you, right? But it's just in a different context. So one of the things that I heard from like the men's segment, and this is really big, and this is what it's really coming back to, it's discipleship. And I know for, myself, like when I sit down with couples and I'm talking with them, my question is, okay, so if you just get married, what couple do you have maybe that's been married, I don't know, like maybe 2-3 years into their marriage? What's a couple that you have in your life that's been married maybe 10 years? And what couple do you have behind you that you can mentor behind you? Because there's one thing about being in the place that you're at. My position is that when you're in the present time, you should always have somebody that is coming behind you and somebody that you can look ahead to. And I'll never forget when I came freshly out of my separation, my girl took me on a birthday trip. We went to Florida, and I literally ended up being on a trip with six other couples. And I was the one single. It was supposed to be other singles. I ended up being the one single. But it was a blessing in disguise. Why? Because it's in the midst and proximity of being with all those couples that God rebirthed my hope concerning marriage. Being in proximity of where you want to actually go. Like in that time, I was like, nah, God, I'm good. But God used the proximity of those couples to actually birth something in me that I thought that had died. And so it's not about just where you are, but it's like, God, place men. If you want to get to marriage, then hang around men who are already where you want to go. Allow them to speak life into you. Don't, like, yes, your single friends will have their place. It's just like married men. If you are married and you're in a couple, and you're surrounded by bare single men, that says a lot about your circle. It rubs off, right? So it's the same thing. It's if you are single and you want to get married, well, who are you talking to? Who's speaking life into you? Who's showing you healthy marriage? Because if all you're seeing is toxicity or singleness, you're not going to want to get married. What do you have to show in front of you? So I feel like for me, it comes down to discipleship and who's in your ear and who's talking to you and who you're watching.
Good. I agree. It's good.
Did you have something?
No, I was kind of just trying to get attention first.
Okay. So
I'm not going after that either.
I heard something that the three of them said, which was in common, which kind of stood out to me was there's a disconnect somewhere in the teaching. There's a disconnect somewhere in the discipleship. Because like for me as a man growing up, when it came to relationships, the way that I learned was being trapped in an unhealthy relationship. That's how I learned what a real relationship should look like, right? So it's a thing where, okay, how can I teach someone else that without having to go through that, right? Because some people can go through that and they're not strong enough to get out healthy on the other end, right? So, and then my thing is, it's like with the discipleship, I find a problem in the church that a lot of churches have I've attended, they have pastors that the churches are being led by single pastors. Now, a lot of these men who are following these single pastors, they have nothing to follow because there's no relationship to watch. You were influenced by relationships that you were watching, that was influencing and gave you a hope. Now, if you're in a church being led by a single pastor, it's harder because you're being led by someone who's single. So there's no relationship to embody the love of Christ. And if we read the Word of God, a marriage is supposed to reflect God's love for the church and the unity and that companionship. Yeah. Now, if we have no companionship to watch and follow, then what are we really following?
That's true.
No, you can go.
May I? This is what I'll say to that. As a man that's tried to date, is that even still, if you're looking at the example of marriage and you're trying to date, there's still an expectation of marriage. Right?
That's what courtship is.
Yeah.
That's what courtship is. Don't you have courtship? Well, there's the expectation of marriage, so you're working towards marriage.
But 100%. But I'm just like, you still have to crawl before you walk, though, right? Like, I think the thing is that sometimes you're just trying to at least see if you jive with this person, right? You have to see if you, like, how you could interact with this person, just on a spiritual level. Like, how hungry are you for the Lord? Just trying to feel that out. But if you're looking at marriage while you're still trying to feel that out, sometimes you're trying to go there before you even understand where you are.
But here's the thing. I think the problem with the church is that it doesn't distinguish between dating and courtship, because there's a difference between the two. Where dating is just more like, okay, I'm just getting to know you, I'm just seeing where things are, then, you may have other things that come into the picture, you guys know what I'm talking about, right? So there's no actual commitment towards marriage.
Right.
But that's what dating is. You're just playing the field. Whereas the courtship is much more intentional. So my question to you is, are you looking for a partner with the intention of marriage, courting, or just dating as in playing the field?
It's a combination, but that's the first time that I've heard it like that.
Okay.
And I'm like, that's a problem. It's because I was like, oh, okay, cool. I was like, that makes sense to me. Like, I can make a sentence with the words you just gave me. But that's the first time I've heard
these
that.
things are not clear. It's
Exactly,
not clarified,
and that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Because you have people that are uncertain, don't know that verbiage or have that understanding, and might be in a dating phase, but somebody's like, oh, I'm talking to you, oh, you're courting me. And the one person's like, oh, no, I'm just trying to get to know. You're like, but hold on, but you're talking to me, and you're talking to me on the phone 3 times. You're courting me, bro. You know what I mean? So I'm just saying that clarity is what I'm talking about. Because I understand, if you see something, you learn from it. That's cool. But I'm like, people have a disconnect with what phase you are within that, and I think that's what needs to be taught.
Yeah. Now, if that was to be taught, what we would do, if I may, is allow people to acknowledge the stages. Dating is as it is in its root word, is just extracting data. Now, you want to make sure that the data is correct. So if you're going to go out there to date, you have to first date yourself. I'm good with my wife because I dated myself. I got to know me first.
Come on now.
I didn't allow someone to be subjugated with the hard task of loving me, and I did not know me.
That's so good.
So at first, you must know yourself. And when you know yourself, this is where you find that equal place about being evenly yoked. Because I'm married, but I'm very much released to do ministry as if I was single, because I made sure I'd married somebody that understands me. So we had our time of dating.
That's good.
Where we extracted data. And that's when it's healthy. We said, we're just dating. So now, if you want to go your separate way, it's not working out, then I said, it's okay, then I saw enough, I got to know something, okay, then we're not compatible. You know what?
Oh, man,
we're not in a relationship, but we can still be friends.
That's right.
Now, when we get to a certain place now where, okay, then we're like Adam. You have to do it like Adam. Don't look outward first. He said, bone of my bone, flesh of my son. He saw something similar from within first. And at times we look at the outside too often, not knowing that, you know what? as my wife knew, my hair was nice and black, but now, hey.
Why don't they teach that in church though? It's like we having
Because
this
we don't
conversation.
understand the relevance of it. We don't understand that when the family's strong, the church is strong.
But can I just add something
And
real
when
quick?
you lose brotherhood, sisterhood, and all these things, we lose neighborhood. The main institution before church, pastors, and all these things. He put two people together and started family. That is the main
back to community.
institution.
Goes back to community.
So we lost track of that. And that's an area we dropped the ball in. Now church is like, come hear my pastor preach. Come here to worship. It's not to hear something that would edify you, better you, treat you like we talked about the last session, like not trying to teach you to just cope with life, but to conquer it. Conquer it. And I don't think it's only men that has been, ill-treated with the lack of teachers, also women as well.
Absolutely,
As
absolutely.
whereas you said about when men, been raised to conquer and so forth. And I know what you meant by that. But also, this new message about, I don't need a man.
No, I'm not saying
you are saying that.
that.
No, sis, I'm not saying. But as we said, we're not ignoring these things because that's what starts the problem. And what was the little anthill, like the devil was a little stick, now becomes a dragon in the book of Revelations because we ignored it.
Right.
Yes,
We have
yes.
ignored it.
So
So
you're doing some of these scrolls, right?
yeah, exactly. Time don't heal all wounds. Time and attention does. Those heals wounds, not just left on time. So we want to make sure as a church that we show people the proper stages. Get to know you. Get to know God. Hello. Get to know. He doesn't have to find the person for you. It's your emphasis to make sure you are the right person. Don't look for the great wife and you're not preparing yourself to be a husband.
I see that.
Yeah.
And the same thing with the wives. Don't look for like a certain husband, and then because at the end of the day, one thing
supposed to find you as a
one
wife.
thing I see out there that's very annoying to me as a man, you have a lot. No offense, women. You have a lot of women that are saying, "Listen, I want a man with money. I want a man with this," but you don't want to get off your couch to do nothing for the man. And at the end of the day,
But
at the end of the day, when a man asks them, "What do you bring to the table?" I bring my body. I bring sex.
I am the table.
Is that the only thing that you can bring?
Wow.
So you're expecting me to bring the money, to bring the security, to bring this, to bring all the work, and you just want to, open your legs and think that's all that I want,
Okay,
right?
so hold
No, but that's back there.
No, you're right. You're right. It's just that I just want to say a couple little things quickly. Just let's bring down the temperature just a second, and just breathe. Hold on. No, I just want to say one thing, and I'm gonna let y'all get back at it. But you talked about identity, and I think a lot of time that escapes us. We forget the most important thing is our foundation. Yeah. And if we don't know who we are, we fall for anything. And before we can start any kind of relationship, we need to know who we are first. So if we don't know who we are, we're just going to be what anybody else wants us to be. So it starts with knowing who we are and whose we are. And just like you said, get to know yourself. We need to know what we like, what we don't like. What are our beliefs? Because if you don't believe anything, you're going to fall for everything. Yeah. So it first starts getting to know yourself. Okay, there's things I like, there's things I don't like. There's things I'm just not going to settle for. There's things that I'm not going to do. And when you make these decisions and when you stand firm on those beliefs and you strengthen your core, then anyone can't just step into your life and say, listen, I like you, but if you would do this, and then you bend to that. But once you know who you are, you're standing on firm foundation, that sets the type of relationship you're going to be in. There's one thing I would tell my daughter: if you don't respect yourself, don't expect anybody else to. So it starts with us respecting ourselves first. How do you respect yourself? Know who you are. Know whose you are. And we need to help people understand we're whole people. If you're a half a person, if you're a quarter of a person, and you expect to get into a relationship with someone, that means that deficit, you're looking to them to fill. If I'm a quarter of a person and we're talking or we're courting, I'm looking for you to fill me up because I'm a quarter. We have to come into this relationship being two whole people. So when you're courting, the man needs to be whole, the woman needs to be whole. Let's go back to the beginning. Let's go back to two whole people came back together. Let's look at Adam. Adam had work to do. He had time with God. He knew God was his priority. God gave him the law. It was up to Adam to understand that law, to live that law, right? Adam was in his work. Adam can't welcome anyone else into his life if he doesn't have work. As a man, you need to have work. You need to have something that you're passionate about. You need to have something that you're managing, that you know how to take care of, that you can cultivate. If you don't know how to cultivate, how are you going to welcome anyone else into your life? So when God saw that Adam was faithful, Adam was following his law, Adam named all the animals right to the insects. God said, this man should not be alone. So if you're not a whole man, if you're a quarter, if you're not whole, how can you bring anyone else into your life? So we need to understand and look back, go back to the beginning. When we're not sure, go back to the beginning because God has written it all out for us. Know who you are, know whose you are, be in your work, understand your purpose. Adam understood his purpose because if he didn't do any of these things, God could not take Eve out of him.
You know, I'm sorry. You just reminded me. Do you remember Dr. Miles Monroe wrote a book called Single, Dating,
And Married.
Married, and Widowed?
Broken
Yeah.
Machine.
So Dr. Miles Monroe actually made a really good point about being single. Okay, the one thing. Okay, so this is my advice. Anytime I hear somebody break up, I always say take some time for yourself and heal.
Yeah.
Right? Because you don't be jumping in from one relationship to the next relationship and you're carrying all this excess baggage and you're even bringing a more broke version of yourself. But going back to Dr. Miles Monroe, he talked about the importance of the number one. Because the number one is a number that is whole in its stuff. And a lot of the times you have so many broken people who don't even understand what it means just to be one. One in purpose, one in God, one in purpose, one in presence. Right? So this is why I'm grateful for the single season I'm in right now. Because right now I'm building platonic relationships with men and seeing, okay, this is how a real man acts. This is how a man of God acts.
Come on.
This is how, and I'm seeing, okay, this is a brotherhood of men who love God, worship God together, and
Yes.
seeing all of that carry out. It makes a huge difference because now it gives me a perspective. Okay, this is the Christ that's operating through this man. And now it's reshifting my priorities. It's like it's taking my list that I wrote back in my 20s, it's a launch call, it's a toilet paper roll. He's ripping it, shredding it in pieces, like I'm telling you, I had like, I don't know how many things I had, and they were like, I was very specific. I'm like, okay, God, he's like, yeah, you think I'm gonna give you all of that? Nah.
In order for him to give it to you, you need to be able to receive what he's giving you.
Exactly.
So when you want to be a wife, you need to get the qualities of a wife. When you're a husband and you're looking for a wife, you need to have the qualities of a husband. We like to say we want a lot of things, but listen, as a parent, if our child comes to us and they're underage and they want to drive that car, they cannot drive, they can't touch a pedal, are we giving them those keys?
Absolutely.
So why is God going to send you that wife or send you that husband if you are not even in a position to receive them?
Which is exactly what my position was. And this is why I had to learn the hard way. And this is why it's great to talk like this because we can realize that it is a deficit, right? Because at the end of the day, someone like me who that didn't have to go through certain paths and it took me a while to heal from. And I'm not a woman. Women take longer to heal from things.
Yes, we
right?
do.
They're more
We're tied to
emotionally
words.
connected to certain
Yeah,
things, right?
yeah.
But a couple of things that I've heard. I heard purpose and I heard knowing who you are. And in this day and age, we have a lot of mindless people walking around. No one knows who they are. This is why we have transgender people. No offense, right? But a lot of the times, I've personally met people who they're just confused. And confusion turns them into a completely different sex, right? So they move from male to female, or move from female to male. A lot of times due to confusion, I don't know who I am, or they get hurt too much from the opposite sex, and then they move from that and they date. You understand? So it's like, my thing is, one thing that I went through, and then after I want to hear from these gentlemen too. One thing I went through is that, first of all, like, I was taught how to lead before I was taught how to love. Right? Before I was taught how to love or how to even follow, I was taught how to lead. That's what they pasted on men. The minute you get out of the womb, you got to be a man. You got to know how to lead. How am I to lead if I don't know how to love? You don't teach me God's love first, I can't lead. God led with love.
With love.
And one thing about God, he never led with force. He led with love. He led by serving, right? And at the end of the day, as men, I didn't know that when you get married to a wife, you're serving your wife. You're not leading your wife out of force. You're loving your wife into submission.
Come on.
You're not forcing them to say, I'm the man, you do what I say. That's not how it goes. And a lot of men don't understand that,
Women
right?
should
It's
submit
like, listen,
willingly.
I'm going to love you so much that you will choose to submit to me.
That's right.
Right? And it's the love of Christ that embodies that. And because of that, she will automatically fall into her role, into that submission role. Because you have some women that, they want to wear the pants in the relationship, right? And they want to have that control and everything like that. But in my opinion, I feel like if men understand their role, right? God set us as the head, right? Women as helpmates, as the Bible puts it, right? And the Bible also tells us that we're beings that are not meant to be alone. Not saying that you have to have a partner, right? But a good community. Bible tells you bad community ruins good morals, right? Or corrupts good character, right? Now, if you're on bad company, it's going to rub off on you. So what you were saying is important, or someone was saying is important, that you surround yourself with a certain type of people. That you can't have a married man around a bunch of single men. You're going to cheat, right? But at the end of the day, it's all these things that come together that we don't learn, right? So before we learn how to run, we got to learn how to walk. Before I learn how to be a leader, I have to know how to love. I have to know how to follow before I can lead. Because at the end of the day, you put me in a leading position, I'm going to be deaf towards certain things.
Right.
I'm going to be uneducated, and I'm going to lack that knowledge. And the very lack of knowledge is what the Bible says causes our people to perish. And then we have two people from either side getting into relationships that are broken and not whole, as you mentioned. And hurt people hurt people.
Yeah.
Right? And this is what's happening in this day and age. A bunch of hurt people coming together and hurting more people. It's caused this big ball of hurt, and everyone's just jumping from one, and picking up spirits along the way, picking up baggage along the way.
If people, sorry.
Go ahead.
I feel like when you get too comfortable in yourself or in a relationship, you lose the essence of what it's supposed to be. When you're too comfortable. Sometimes people get too comfortable in church. Sometimes people get too comfortable in the streets. Sometimes people get too comfortable in themselves, and it doesn't allow you to grow.
You grow in discomfort.
You have a relationship, you want that relationship to grow. So what are you doing to make it grow? You have to water it. You have to take care of it. You have to do that. If not, that relationship that you're expecting to where it's gonna be at you're gonna be disappointed in it because it's not grown. You didn't give it the right attention. You didn't give it the right what it needs for it to grow. So more times now we're gonna be looking outwards instead of inwards. And it's the stuff that inwards actually that your partner needs for them to grow. So how we pour it into our partner.
It's not gonna work.
Right.
Yep.
But like you said though, it starts with yourself first.
Yeah.
Because you could be thinking it's love but projecting the wrong things.
And then sometimes we don't want to admit that we are flawed, that we're wrong.
Right. It's an ego thing. So once we say less of ourselves and more of God, then we'll be more in alignment of the mind of Christ. If not, we're going to be in our nature because we're comfortable. This is who we are. This is God made me like this.
We think we are.
Yeah. Like even in high school, we talk about like how these younger generation deal with it differently from how we do. But it's the same pressure. It's the same enemy. He's just evolving. So how are we evolving? Right? The ops is running drive-bys on us. We have enemies and we act like we don't. We come to church and feel like it's all safe. The enemy still hates you. He still hates your partner. He still hates your family.
He hates your
That's not
community.
going
He
to change.
hates-
Yeah.
My God.
My boy, I want to hear from you, man.
My goodness. No, I'm just soaking in the goodness, man. But I think the biggest problem is that in the Christian circle, I think marriage has become presented as a fantasy. Right? Like I call it the delusion of Christian kingdom marriage.
Disney.
Like
It's Christian Disney.
it's a Disney thing, right? And it comes back down to what my brother said: lack of teaching for the women and for the men. And so for the women, what they're being presented with is like, oh my gosh, it's your Ruth season, Esther. Boaz. Oh wait, get your Boaz. And then they're being presented like he's a Disney prince gonna come scoop you on your feet
Doesn't work that
happily
way.
ever after.
Doesn't work that way.
When both of them don't know nothing, they don't talk nothing.
And for the men, we come to the men's conference, all they do is give us a box of pizza. Like, are you men of God? Virtuous men. Fam, what are we gonna do with that?
Yeah.
But here's the thing, they present marriage as this, and so there's this hyper focus on marriage. Like, oh, you know, God said you're this, God said you're my wife, God said you're my husband. And there's this Disney prize focus. Oh my gosh, I found my Boaz, and you hear all these testimonies. But yo, a year into the marriage, yo, go and talk to the same girl, same guy, talking about, oh my gosh, oh, but I don't feel in love no more. I feel like, what are you talking about right now? Because they don't teach us that marriage is actually not the prize. It's not a fantasy. In fact, one of the biggest tools of sanctification that God uses in the kingdom is marriage. By the way, sanctification is not a pretty word. Let me look at the camera. It's not a pretty word. When we're talking about sanctification, it's talking about cutting off the parts of you that are not of him. And that's painful. And so marriage is not, oh my gosh, you're going to come and fulfill me, Boaz. No, God is going to put a mirror in front of you to show you. Guess what? You stink. Guess what? There's ugly parts of you.
Come on.
And God is allowing somebody in proximity to reflect you back to you. And that's why Paul said the mystery of marriage is Christ and the church. That was why marriage was even brought apart as an institution. And then girls talking about, oh, I don't want to submit. Okay, you don't want to submit. But if you actually read the Bible, submission is where power comes from. And by the way, look at what the man has to do. You want to be the man? He actually has to love like Christ loved the church.
That's right.
How did he love the church? Oh, he died.
Uh-oh.
Like this is not Disney,
brother, talk.
Snow White, glass slipper.
No.
God is dealing with your pride. He is dealing with, and you can't just cut them. Oh yeah, you can. That's why there's so much divorce in the church. They don't like that.
Oh, you touch a button.
So, okay, I'm sorry, but God is trying to break the delusion and the fantasy. Is he the one? Fam, are you the one?
Come on.
Thank you.
Whoa, come on.
We gotta cut the fake,
the one.
Come on.
Without first
Come on.
becoming the one.
We gotta
Come
cut
on.
the fake, bro.
Come
we gotta
on.
cut the fake.
Come on,
on.
let's just stop this.
Talk about it.
Preach
Talk
truth.
about it. Talk
We gotta
about it.
talk
Chasing
truth,
the one,
bro.
if you're not
We gotta
the
talk
one,
truth
the
and
one
not
is Jesus
feelings.
running from you.
Talk truth and not feelings, man.
So I think the success rate of marriage in the church will go up when we look at ourselves. And I
Man
love,
in the mirror.
Exactly. No Michael Jackson. Man in the mirror.
Man in the mirror.
And I love what they said about purpose. Adam found his person after he found his purpose. And most people in the church don't even know their purpose.
Come on.
And they're looking to someone else to find it for them.
Yep.
And this is the final thing I'll say, and then you guys can wrap it up, because shout out to our facilitators, by the way. Shout out to our facilitators.
Praise God. Praise God.
This is the final thing I'll say. I heard a testimony about a girl said she was about to get married and she had a vision, and she went to the altar to meet her soon-to-be husband. And as she was at the altar, she looked behind her and there was a whole bunch of men tied to her, like they're all standing beside her. They all had chains. And essentially, through the vision, God was saying, yo, though you're getting married to this one man, you're still yoked to all of these men.
Oh my God.
And so a lot of us are going into these things,
Yoked to others.
still, you haven't broke the soul tie. You haven't saw them for 7 years, but their essence is still there.
Wow.
And so part of the reason, because now you get into marriage with Johnny, but now you're comparing him to Gustavo. Gustavo's back in Guatemala. Like, yo, so what you got to do?
Yeah.
So, yo, let's get back to the Holy Ghost. Where's our
Yeah,
church mothers?
absolutely.
Back to deliverance.
That's right.
Back to whatever. Get delivered. Go through the process before you go and try to bring somebody else, because you don't want to bring all of the past yokes into this relationship. Because when we're talking about being unequally yoked, it's not just your faith walks, but are you also yoked to something else while trying to yoke to someone else?
Come on.
So that's what I'll end with.
You got to root out
My brother,
some
thank you
things.
so much. Thank you
Wow.
so much. This was so powerful, and I'm hoping that everyone out there has learned from this, because honestly, you can learn from these things with all the
Absolutely.
combined from the streets to the church, man. Street meets church is what this is. This is honestly, our talking session was great. So we're gonna end with that. My final says that I would say to take away from this is to remember that the love of Christ has nothing to do with emotions. Love has nothing to do with feelings. It's all choice. Because at the end of the day, we have to remember that marriage isn't easy. It's ugly, but it's ugly because you have to understand there's beauty in the beast, and something you have to be you have to be deformed and crushed to be molded into gold. Because when you find gold, it's all dirty under the ground.
Yes.
So when God forms it up, it turns into gold.
That's
And
right.
the reason why love is ugly is because we didn't do anything to deserve God's love, but He died for us anyways when we were in our filth. Right? So we'll leave with that. This is how we embody the love of Christ. Thank you guys so much for
Yes.
coming on the podcast.
This is
Thank you for
beautiful.
having us.
Beautiful
Praise
faces.
God. Praise
Thank
God.
you so much. Sister Teresa, thank you so much. You were amazing.
Shout out.
Thank you.
Shout out.
Thank you, my brother. Thank you,
Thank
my
you so
brother.
much.
Wow,
Thank
God
you
is
so much,
awesome.
and for everybody who was watching, if you watched it this far, thank you so much. I pray that God bless you,
Yes.
keep you, make His face shine upon you.
Yes.
Please comment. Write in the comments. Let us know what your thoughts are on the video. Let us know if you have any questions. Even if you want to recommend another topic that we
Yes.
should do on the
Yes.
next one, there will be another one, guys.
Absolutely.
Coming, because we got to spread the word of Jesus Christ. Let's just
Amen.
take hands
That's
right
right.
now.
And subscribe if you like it.
please.
Subscribe.
And hit that bell.
Jesus.
Hit that bell notification.
bell. Yes.
Notification.
Subscribe to Jesus.
That's right.
Hallelujah.
That's right.
Come on
Subscribe to
now.
Jesus. Subscribe to Jesus, because
Yes.
we decrease so that Jesus may
My
increase.
God.
That's right.
All right, so we're just gonna
Praise
give
God.
a big Jesus, and then
Jesus.
on the count of three, and then we end it off. 3, 2, 1. Jesus! All right, we
I thought we
out.
were gonna have a
Loves
prayer
you.
meeting, brother.
We out.
That's good.
Praise God.